Now, what I'd like to start with is actually if each of you guys could introduce just for a moment your fund and what you're investing in. So maybe Juha start.
So, yes, I'm Juha, one of the founders of Superhero Capital. So we're based in Helsinki, Finland. We do B2B investments, up to 500,000 tickets to start with. We have 14 companies in the portfolio. I guess that's it, shortly.
Okay, I'm Alexander Galitsky. I'm founder of Almaz Capital, we are running approximately 300 million into funds, 35 companies, 8 exits. We are B2B guys, sometimes B2C, very not often. And our company's risk ticket is starting from 100,000 and end by 15 million. So we are mostly focused A and B, doing some seed sometime.
I'm Igor Ryabenkiy, founder of Altair Capital, managing 100 million in several funds. We are active in consumer internet, in B2B. We never invested yet in Belarus, but from some companies you may know are connected to Belarus, some like PandaDog, Juna, and so on. We are very active. We have 120 active companies and over 10 exits during the last 2 years.
Great. And Anton?
Hi everyone, I'm Anton from Wave Ventures, which is a newly founded and the first student-run venture capital fund in the Nordics, and also the biggest student-run venture capital fund in the whole of Europe. We're based in Helsinki, Finland, and we're a team of 8 students of different backgrounds, business, law, tech, and I wouldn't say we don't have a certain industry-specific focus or something, because we can't say that we are experts in any particular area. But what we look for in the companies that we invest in is that they have a global breakthrough potential, and there's something that both we and our advisor board believe in. And our first two investments include Block, which is this company that's going to revolutionize the real estate market by removing the real estate agent from the process, as well as Cardwell Culture, which is a company producing a new sort of biochar for fuel and agriculture use.
Okay, good. So let me start with a question for Alexander. So when was Almaz founded? What year?
Sorry?
What year was Almaz founded?
Found?
Yeah.
Yeah, first fund we started in 2008.
So
second fund 2013.
And you're mainly focused in Russia, or in in US.
Our main office in the US.
Right.
All our exit in the US.
Okay.
So what we are doing actually what European funds not doing.
Yes.
We lift in companies today mostly from Eastern Europe to US.
Yes.
And realize them there. So by this way we are looking for Eastern European founders, or sometimes we are looking for US founders and adding Eastern European developers.
Okay.
So it is what we are doing.
And was that the kind of thesis from the very beginning, from 2007?
Yeah, it was from beginning. It was my experience to build companies. I built the companies the same way. In my 5 companies which I built, 3 I built by the same way, starting companies from here and moving them from day 1 to California and realize them there.
Yeah. So maybe the question would be, what do you see in this market right now, and how do you see kind of Belorussia in terms of all the different markets in Eastern Europe that you're kind of following?
So far we have only one investment which related to Belorussia. We have a company which is actually French-Swiss with hardware development. IoT and with software development over here. It is company named Quick,
Quick.
QIK.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it is only one which related to Belorussia right now. I see it has started to emerge right now. The point is that the difference between many places, so in big places, you need to understand market, yes? So you need to understand, especially in B2B, what actually customer requirements is. So Belorussia open borders, as I know, so it will help.
Okay.
So it is what I believe, it is why I'm here.
Okay, great. Igor, maybe similar question. So when was Altair founded?
Altair was founded 2005.
Okay.
Our last fund was initiated just beginning of this year.
And you're originally Belarusian, am I right? Yourself?
I was grown here. 2 to 22 I was here, but it was like many years ago.
Many years ago. But so maybe maybe my question would be similar to you. You're covering Europe and how do you see
Our main, okay, if to take our portfolio from 120 I mentioned, it will be like 50 plus will be US, 30% will be in Israel, and then will be, rest 20 will be Russia and the rest of the world.
Okay, okay, very good. Juha,
Yes, sir.
pick up the mic. So, so I mean, you've been around here now for a couple of days looking at this. You've seen through the experience even before Superhero with several funds, and then with our kind of engine in Finland was called Startup Sauna, which is a bit kind of equivalent of I'm a Guru, but starting a while back. So I'd like your impressions, what you've kind of seen. What's the good and the bad of what you've seen from the founders so far here?
Well, obviously the competence and technology talent is good. You can immediately see that, which is of course a good base to bring companies like Masquerade or even Wargaming. I guess the challenge is, as in many of these countries, that it's still quite homegrown, and you know, language is an issue. Obviously,
Yep.
it's getting better all the time, but you really should. If you do anything that's digital, you should realize that it's global from day one. So whenever you launch, it's going to be global. So don't just focus on the CIS or Russian or whatever markets you might focus. Think globally. This is really the thing. Because there really is no excuse of not being global if you only have a digital product or solution. When you do something physical, then it's different.
Any models for Belorussia of other kind of Eastern European or Baltic markets? Place to look at?
You mean like in a country level?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, of course, Israel is the place where everyone should look into. I mean, these guys have, during the last 25 years, grown from almost having nothing in the area, being the powerhouse of startups and venture capital in the world. And Estonia is another great example where the government is doing smart things, including startup visas and taxations and you know, low regulation, all of that stuff. So I would look for those two.
Look for those two countries. Yep. So Anton, so you're heading the first student-led fund in the Nordics?
In the Nordics, yeah, correct.
So give a little background to that. We have, I think, a lot of people here who are students. And so how did you guys kind of get this thing off the ground? It couldn't have been easy.
How many minutes do I have?
2.
I could sit here
2.
all day. Okay, so let's give a really quick version here. So the guy whose name is actually on the board, Andreas, who couldn't make it here today, he ran into this article once in TechCrunch and about student-run venture funds in the US. And I was at the same time working for Slush together with Andreas with the investor operations of the team. And then he just threw out the idea that, hey, why don't we have this in Finland or in the Nordics? And so we gathered up a group of like-minded students, decided that we're going to go out there and do this. And we started by meeting up a lot of local investors and entrepreneurs in Finland, Juha being one among them. And I can assure you that the name Drill Sergeant is very accurate. And one by one, we got a lot more people like impressed about our idea and hopping on board either as in an advisor role or as an investor in the project. And 9 months later, we had gathered a very large variety of investors backing our idea, and basically the whole 9 months of fundraising went in a hush. And
What kind, are there individuals or institutions as your investors?
we only have at the moment we only have private individuals as investors.
Okay. So let me ask, so if you could maybe give a couple ideas to the students here, what are the most important things they should be doing to kind of, from the student side, build this ecosystem? What have you seen work?
Well, one of the assets I think that the Finnish university or the university student system has, that it's really compact, and it's all the students are really close to each other, and the network and the whole startup ecosystem in Finland as a whole is a really tight-knit sort of group of people. And I think as a student, one of the best things you can do is constantly meet other people, because it's one of the best times to always meet new people and share ideas with them.
Okay. How about Igor? So in Israel, maybe a bit the same direction. I mean, obviously a lot of the successful stories, I guess Mobileye now is a huge story, came out of Hebrew University, I suppose, the technology. What have you seen working around universities in terms of kind of energizing new startups?
Okay, I would tell that we see here in Belarus, university provide good quality of engineers, and for data science, for programming, for technology is enough strong people. Yes. Question here, I would recommend maybe around universities to build more skills for managers.
Okay.
Because it's really, by the way, in Israel it's also a bit behind, say, compared to United States.
Yep.
This is why we wanted, our last fund we did was with focus on Israel, and we failed. We still are more in US. And in Belarus, if they want to improve situation, to students and to universities, to work more about manager skills, and to legislator to provide conditions, because I spoke today to people.
Yes.
And I see that for startups it is still unfriendly, despite many steps which already were done.
Mm-hmm. So increase the kind of startup friendliness of the legislation, or?
I mean something like common law legislation, which let you really to build relationship between investors, founders, and so on, and to run really company like a startup, not like big conventional business.
Alexander, I don't know if you might expand on that as well. You've seen obviously many different kind of European and Eastern European ecosystems grow, and your strategy is basically primarily to bridge them to the U.S., correct? What are the success factors, I guess, of the companies that have actually made it well from here into the U.S.? What are the keys?
No, first of all, it is we need to compare it. Speaking to US, about US, we need to say that first of all, it is you need to find right way to the global market immediately, which was already mentioned. And the reason is very simple. US, when it is established market already for IT and software, has 40-45% of total market. And for example, I don't know, Belorussia possibly has 0.01.
Rounding error.
Russia has 1. I don't know how Finland possibly have 1. So, or less. And if you start locally, you losing a lot of time, since in the US at the beginning when emerging technology come in, it is possibly 80-90% of market going there. So from this perspective, there's a reason to go immediately global and to lend yourself to US. The second one, of course, you need to measure yourself. So what your abilities. So when you need to have partner, well, I mean the partner from point of view managed company, since when you started to get US sales, for example, it is mistake, since US people very good to sell themselves.
Yes.
So from this perspective, you're getting wrong salespeople very often.
Right.
So in this case, you need to get really good partner to work in US. And third one, I will say, you need to choose. So you're going through acceleration program or not. Some people tell you that if you believe in your company, never go to accelerator. The
Yes.
reason is very simple, since you give up a lot of property for nothing.
Yep.
In the end, like
Sometimes,
100
yep.
million or 200 million in $1 billion company just for work which people doing for you for 3 months.
Yep.
So it is your choose to go directly or to go through accelerator to US. So it is what I will suggest to do.
So have some of your companies either gone through acceleration in the U.S. before or after you've invested, or in general not?
Our company not,
Yeah.
but in general we try to find the right model for early stage companies for us, since when I told we invest 100,000 as well. So we would like to get them sometimes from before graduation in some accelerators, looking for B2B guys like Alchemist or someone else like
Right.
Alchemist. So this guy is doing pretty heavy job, 6 months to help companies to go. I'm not very favor of Y Combinator, since it is like mostly internet type of guys, which is
Yes.
3 guys building something.
Right.
So from this perspective, yeah, we have in our portfolio companies which is went through. We have one which decided to go and to give up founder shares to
Yes.
one accelerator. I will not name the company and
Yep.
what they gave. So they understood mistake after, let's say, graduation. So.
Yep. Okay. I don't know, Juha, have anything to build on there?
Well, I would like to give an advice to
Please.
all of you who are entrepreneurs or thinking of becoming one. Start solving real problems.
Yep.
I mean, world has enough real problems. We don't need another app that will measure whether the pulse in your ass and your neck is the same every morning, or however Jamie said it in the morning. I think that was a great quote. So there's so much happening now because digitalization. It will change every single industry. The funny fact is that when you talk about it, everyone says, yes, it's going to change every other industry than mine. You talk to McKinsey consultants, for example, who will go to every single industry and tell that digitalization is changing everything, except business consulting. That will stay. And the same with us VCs. We think it will not change the industry. We invest into companies that want to disrupt every single other industry except ours, because it will never change. We will stay forever. Sorry to say, ain't gonna happen. It will change. Artificial intelligence will also change VC industry. So it will affect every single industry. And there's huge opportunities there. So solve the real things, the real problems. There's enough of them in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I will support.
Please.
I will support pretty heavily to think more since when you're speaking about B2B industry. So even I in favor since I grew up in B2B. So enterprise software, it is $150 billion business. Cloud service, it is $170 billion business. And you can try to compete with guys like Amazon, for example, or somebody else. And when you're speaking about, for example, fashion industry, it is $1 trillion business, which did not touch at all what I will support by modern technology. So if you're speaking about many others, construction, agro, and everything, it's very a lot of stuff which is disruptive. And I agree that financial industry, including venture, will change. Since venture capital guys, it is not gods. It is a service company which serve entrepreneurs. This needs to be understood. So if you will get in more intellectual guy, since venture capitalists given 80% of advices wrong, that's from my opinion. So only 20 you can pick up. So you need to be very smart to pick up the right advices.
Absolutely. Did you have a follow there?
No, not really. I mean, agree on that. So.
Okay, and I would, again, a little bit of the, don't always go to where the flash is today, but look where the big problems are and try to deal with those. Maybe Anton. So how do you guys see it? So what are you looking for? So you're a student-led fund. Are you looking for student-led companies, or are you invested across the board?
We're definitely not limited to students, but what we like to see ourselves is that the companies we've been working with up until now, that they all consist of, shall we say, young people mostly, and what we really like is to see that there seems to be a movement among young people who are starting companies that they really want to solve these real problems. As it's definitely one of the key criteria we also want to keep when we look for the companies, and it's something that's really being highlighted among students and other young people, which is why naturally, despite the fact that we don't have any exact limits, but the most part of the companies we work with are founded by young people.
And how long, if you make an investment, a seed investment, typically you're looking for a company to go how long with that funding? 6 months, 12 months? Are you looking to go by yourself or in syndicates with bigger partners?
Yeah, it depends a little. We made one investment where we were the sole investor, and in the other investment it was a syndicate. But
How much?
we invest from 20 to 50K. So not too big tickets, but we're in the pre-seed stage among the angels, maybe a little higher. And the typical, of course, it's not really not much about that we would have a strict sort of way that how much runway the company should have with the investment, as long as they can explain well how they're going to use the money and why the runway is so long as it is.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Juha.
May I?
Please.
I think this is the challenge everywhere, especially in Europe, less so in the US and Israel, that entrepreneurs and us investors, we only talk about money. And let's face it, what the company really needs is help. They need brains.
Yep.
They need networks. That's what they really need. Money is just a side product. So therefore, I mean, us VCs, we always call ourselves smart capital.
Yep.
Now, we do have capital. That's
Yep.
a fact. But are we really smart? Which means that can we really honestly help those companies?
No.
And that's what every one of us should ask, if not every single day, every other day.
Yep.
At least I'm doing that every single goddamn day. And that's why I have to turn down a lot of companies, because I can't help them, in
Yep.
all honesty.
Yep.
And if I can't help them, we will not invest. It's really simple.
It is why we will be very quickly replaced.
Yes.
Yeah, since we are speaking about the smartness, and
Yes.
smartness is related to our connection, which is easy to replace.
Yes.
So smartness is actually, it is hiring right people, which will be also replaced by right interview, by robot and everything to make right people
Absolutely.
to select.
Yep.
So since we spend time speaking about strategy, okay, we have experience, gray hair, we have some strategic things, but it will be also can be replaced. So I agree that venture funds, smart, you need to look in different point. It is one of the suggestions, before you take money, you need to spend time of due diligence of VC with whom you are speaking and ask other entrepreneurs how this VC help for you to grow. It is only one way to find it is smart VC or not smart VC.
To talk to their portfolio companies.
Talk to their portfolio companies, talk to their successful companies, not successful companies, since
Yes.
stories can be different. So, but it is how you will get idea so that you are choosing. It is why I told we are in service business. We help to entrepreneur and not they help us to make money.
Absolutely. Igor, I think you had a...
No, it's just okay. I agree here that before bringing artificial intelligence to venture capital, we should bring some intelligence. But as for for approach, what we do, really, as I told, we invest like 30 plus companies,
Yep.
and physically we cannot help every. So we do different type of investments. And for some companies, we really see that without being with them hands-on, it will never happen. nothing will happen. So very few what our capacity of small team let us do, we do it hands-on. By other companies, whatever smart or not smart we are, we just give money.
Okay. Yeah, Anton.
Yeah, I would just a quick note here. I concur with the gentleman here, and we are also. It's really important for us that what we can provide, that if we put in an investment, it has to be smart money, and we cannot ride in with our domain knowledge as we are young ourselves. But what we've seen at this point, our biggest value props would be the student recruitment from our network, both on biz dev side and on computer science side, and also by many of us have been working at Slush, have created these sort of vast networks for us that have been really helpful for our companies to this point.
Okay, so the networks built up through the Slush and other stuff are something.
Yeah, or pretty much all these things in the Finnish ecosystem.
Yeah. So back to Igor. So how about kind of a serial entrepreneur versus a first-time founder? First of all, what percentage of your investments roughly would be in first-time entrepreneurs versus multi-time?
I believe like 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah, we have many not like second time. We have entrepreneurs like short, first time entrepreneurs, and many like successful entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Because it's also many come. But by the way, entrepreneurs which come after failure, it's also very good because he's got his lessons. But we do a lot with first-time entrepreneurs. It depends. For first-time entrepreneurs, it's more difficult to build solid B2B, to build enterprise. For consumer internet, it's more easy. Certainly, it's also better to have deal with experienced person. But here we can reach success also with guys who do it first time.
How about Juha?
I'm just. Should we have some questions from the audience?
Yeah,
otherwise they will be bored to death listening to us. So.
Yeah.
Please. Are there some mics there, or?
Hey, can somebody take a microphone out so we can get questions from the audience? I think that would be really. Yes.
So anyone?
We have one.
There is a
Excellent.
brave volunteer.
Yes.
Shoot it.
Could you please turn on the mic? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Great. Please share your impression on Minsk and on this day. Are you satisfied? Is it what you expected from this event?
From this particular event. What's your impressions of this event? So maybe starting from Anton, in not only the positives, but what would you suggest changes or?
To this event.
Yes. Plus, you've seen many years of Slush, obviously, which could be kind of mapped onto this.
Definitely get like all the young people engaged. I've seen a lot of the organizers here are young people, and probably a lot of them are also volunteering. But really sort of riding on the community effort, making this more known throughout all especially in the student communities and the startup community as a whole.
Yep. Okay. Juha, some ideas?
Yeah, I have a few just development ideas. Number one, internet. You really need it. You have to make it work. That's number one. If you want people to tweet, it's very hard if you're offline. I don't know how you can tweet if you're offline. Number two, small thing, but actually a big thing, and Anton here can tell you how to do that. Make the badge big enough. Now it's almost impossible to read the badges and see which company someone is from. And it's very rude, especially for ladies, if I go like this. In the US you would be jailed for sexual harassment, so.
No, our president hasn't been. So.
Oh yeah, well now it's different.
Yep.
But you really need events like this, of course, because you need to build an ecosystem. And therefore, this is really good, and you just need to keep doing it, expanding it, maybe having a little bit different focus. You can maybe divide it into streams. That's one idea. That's what many usually do these events when they grow. Then they start dividing it into different streams or
Yeah, strengths and weaknesses.
focus areas or something like that. So.
Alexander? Any?
No, I came late over here, so since I arrived from US today at morning to Moscow and came here, and we saw so many people so at morning, which has gave me some idea about Minsk, since I didn't visit Minsk for some time. As for event, I think that suggestion is done. I think that it needs to be pretty well divided, the streams between internet services and products, since you expect different presentation from both of them,
right.
and structure of presentation of the guys who prepare this conference need to be prepared that everybody speaking the same language. So since some pieces is missing in presentation and you don't have time to discuss and you don't want to ask. Yes.
Yep. Igor?
As for me, I love Minsk. I enjoy every time coming here. But as for...
I don't have problem with badges to watch.
Yeah, and also, okay, next time we'll do it in Belarusian. I will remember what I studied in school.
Yeah.
Joke, keep English. Usually I come here not for venture, so it's my first conference here. It's good to see that some entrepreneurs emerge, some projects are nice, some projects can be nice, is also
Yes.
good. And I saw here, okay, some projects which are, I would tell, like ready for investments too. So it's a good impression. A lot of work is ahead, but direction is right. Just necessary to make more right steps and look more at the experience of other ecosystems like US, Israel, Germany, and so on.
I think one interesting thing, Finland is arguably kind of emerged partially, or I would say even largely because of the startup Sauna and slush community, which started, I think slush was first 2007 or 2008? 2008, I think. So, and actually, I think by 2010, that was the year before the students took it. It was still smaller than this, I guess. It was still only 300 people. So by that trajectory, now today it's 20,000. So in 7 years, it went from a few hundred to 20,000 and really drive the whole thing. So I think it's definitely a good start here. How about other questions? Please, go back.
Yeah. Hey guys, first of all, thanks for sharing your knowledge with us. And my question is, what kinds of personality traits you are looking for in founders?
Good one.
And in particular, let's say, especially in B2B segment, often CEOs and founders are doing the first sales before hiring, before hiring a sales team, and so it's very hard to find a person who is good at technical, who has technical skills, management skills, and sales skills. So, what
are the key personality traits that you look for in a founder? Juha?
Well, first of all, you need a team. So we don't, for example, invest into single one-man shows. So you always need a team. And our investment rationale is that it combines of three things, broadly stolen from Mark Suster. If you don't know who Mark Suster is, I strongly urge you to Google him. He's my favorite VC. He blogs some cool stuff. But anyway, so we need people who have big visions, so if they really want to change the world or solve significant problems, that's one thing. The other thing is that they must be able to execute, so we call it ability to do shit. And very rarely these will combine in one head, which means that you need a team. So people who are visionaries usually need someone else to execute and vice versa. Then there's the third component, because life is too short for two things: working with assholes and drinking bad red wine. And we don't do either one. So we really need to work with nice guys or guys that we can tolerate. And of course, we all understand that sometimes entrepreneurs are interesting personalities, but they need to be high integrity. That's very important. So when all of these three are combined, that's the superhero. And then we invest, and that's where the name comes from, Superhero Capital.
Great. Alexander, anything to add?
No, I will not add too much. It is, well, I was saying right, of course we lose the same, so I prefer to have it as some early stage company, at least two guys coming to me, it is business and techie guy together. So, and I see that it is a team, it is for me most important. As from point of view of other, of course, characteristic, yeah, you stay with the guys for 5-6 years. So makes that go. So
like
you need to fall in love with them, and you know that you would like to see them crazy, of course, since normal people not invent anything and not create anything.
Absolutely.
So from this perspective, it is need to be smart, crazy guys. So it is what I'm looking usually. So it is, I can speak about personality a lot, what need to be, but it is possibly, it does need to be arrogant guy enough, since he need to change the world. Since if he not arrogant, he will never have a big dream, or he will afraid the big dream. So it is some kind of strong
mixture of this. Igor, something to add?
We believe in strong teams. If a project comes to us with not full teams, it is techie or just sales on, we either tell come with when you have like at least 2 founders on different sides, or we take sometimes if we like very much to our acceleration program and we help to find. And I always tell guys, when you come, are you sure that you are ready to move together to success? Because to find right co-founder, it is sometimes more difficult than to find your couple for successful marriage. And so it's always necessary to remember that you should really trust this person and trust that you will do all these very hard things together. Then it will be successful.
I actually forget very important suggestion, especially for Eastern European founders. So when you build company and you have founders and you have few of them, so don't issue shares. Do option plan for everybody. Since it happens that on the row, on 2 years when company just started, one person can leave team. And it is very big drama for everybody. So by this way, option plan for founders, it is need to be established immediately. So it is what I will suggest.
Okay, interesting. Anton, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's true that it's hard to fit all the desired personality traits under one roof. So if there's like one thing we really want to find in every founding member of the teams that we're looking at is it might sound a little cliche, but like a true passion for what you do. Because as long as you're passionate about what you're doing, you will eventually learn to sell it. You will learn to run it. But if you don't have the passion for what you're doing, then the motivation is just going to stop at some point.
But if I may, one short comment. Make no mistake, all the problems you will face are related to people. There's really nothing else when you scrape the surface. Technology, all of that stuff is easy to solve, but people-related issues are the hardest ones. So therefore, select carefully, like the gentleman here said, select carefully your co-founders. Really matters.
Absolutely. All right, please.
Thanks for coming and thanks for information giving. The question is, you are experts in your fields, you run big money, and why don't you start your own perfect startup, like perfect Uber or perfect, I know, any messenger and so on? Thank you.
Because Carlo Ancelotti, he's one of the best football coaches, but he's not the best player. It's Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi who are the best players, right? It's the same here.
I would add, we had it. I don't know about gentlemen from Finland, but I know that Alexander started with very successful, it was first successful startup sold to US, It was led by Alexander. I also had my startups first in Russia, then in the US. So we were in your
You did that.
shoes. Now
Been
we
there, done that.
just spend our time to help hundreds of you to be successful.
I very often would like to kick some CEO and run companies since they're doing wrong from point of view, but it is what I choose after 5 of my companies to do the new job, to share my experience to others. So it is why.
So it's a way to scale, kind of scale your experience in a way by working with
And
many.
I have companies which I step in and they was 500K and became in 3 years $200 million sales. So by this way it is where I can do my experience better than to start geeky startup like Uber or geeky startup like, I don't know, something else.
Anton, any final thought?
Yeah, well, you might see Wave as our Wave Ventures as our very first own startup, despite that it's in a form of fund. But what feels like, or what we sort of get out of it, we get to work with many startup companies at once. So we get exposed to all these different industries, all these different problems, and as Juha said, all these different people also. Which pretty much still feels like running your own startup.
Great. All right, I think we have time for one more question, so
Yeah,
please.
good evening, everyone. My name is Dmitry, and I have a question about actually $200 million sales. Let's talk about a B2B company that sells product or services to some other businesses, and it's pretty easy to start selling to small and medium-sized customers. But you can't become an EPAM if you're selling to small companies. So basically, the question is, how do you help your portfolio companies to sell to the big fish? Is it a luck? Does it just take time or anything else? Thank you.
Alexander.
I will answer very simple.
Yes.
You know, it is much easier to sell to the big companies than to a bunch of the small, first of all. So if it is your product really bringing value, and it is where we see bringing this today, connections and trust, since you easily open door for your company to the big CIOs. And what is magic here is that if big CIO of big company, not Russian company or some Belarusian, I don't know, but CIO of some American or European company will say it is good product, and he will give stamp of proving that it is good, I will tell you, he will never say that it is bad product, he will move it ahead. So, and if you get 1, 2, 3 big enterprise customers, you easily going to build your case since you hire experienced salespeople and they're rolling out your sales. In small and medium, you're actually going behind of the big guys, and it is more difficult actually to sell to small and medium. Possibly you will achieve $3-5 million sales, but to scale business for hundreds of millions with small and medium, especially in new market, is pretty tough job.
Okay, great. Igor?
Yeah, I saw during like last 20 years, both as a startup founder as an investor, I saw that a company started with product who start to sell to SMB usually don't reach success until they go up market. Good example, Panda Dog from Minsk. They started to small businesses, then they moved to Silicon Valley, started to go up market, and now they are big. To really reach this 7 million, 10 million small businesses in US, it's a big task. Many giants try to solve it. It's very difficult and very expensive.
But how, actually? How do you make the switch? Obviously, it's important to sell to big. But can you give just one maybe recipe?
Look, first of all, it is much easier than you think, except that you will sell services. If you really sell good solution, these companies understand it, and if you are sometime on market with this solution, they will find you. But if your particular question, how all of us have connections. All of us, we can make introductions. But if you come with a wrong product, this introduction will not help. But basically, yes, we can like help open some doors, which is not very necessary for good projects.
Okay. Anything to add on that one? Okay. Good. Okay.
I have a question. May I?
All right. Yeah, one fast one.
Right.
Where are
Question
you?
about hardware. Yeah, here. Hi, guys. Basically, what's your view on hardware startups and where it's heading? I know that most of you involved in the software techie startups, but what's your view, if you have any, about hardware startups, where the market goes, and about this investment made currently and your projections?
Okay, look, we have very few. We do some investments in hardware. Usually it should have a really unique technology. And these startups request a lot of attention and help. And it is a long way from technology to market. Usually when I'm approached, I tell that, okay, it is not our focus, and go to some hardware accelerator, speak to strategic investors who really will be ready to invest next 3-5 years, just looking how you develop your technology, looking how your competition develops the same technology, and who will be winner. And so playing in this environment, I mean, hardware accelerator and strategic partners is better than to play, okay, with normal, with usual VCs.
Actually, we did 3 IoT startups which include hardware in different segments, which is smart city segment, which you can do this only in the place where you have strategic partners. And we sold in October a company for, I don't know, several hundreds of millions of dollars. Even company was cash negative. So the point is that it need to be very unique technology, and it need to be pretty like strategic to someone to fit some strategic needs of some big corporate, let's say, company or corporate needs. So we had another layer, which is possibly many of you know, company from Ukraine, this PetCube. So it is tough, yes. So, but what is nice when you have Eastern European developers with $4.5 billion investment, company achieved last year $10 million sales. Yeah. So it is given approach from Eastern Europeans to build hardware here. And the Minsk actually company, it is also a hardware company, since here the software developers, but it is built around the sensors which built in Lausanne. So by this way, it is tough job since you need to have debt financing, but it's doable. People don't like to do it since it is mostly doing the strategic investors today, since it is long cycles and big risk and requirements of capital, and venture money is not so good for this.
But just to add, do you tailor these startups to specific exit and specific strategic partners? Do you tailor it up front when you invest? Or it just happens that you find the exit opportunity?
First of all, you build in any fund, strategically when you build fund, and you know that curve is coming some wave, since you would like to be on wave of technology. So for each of our first fund we did, like we just wanted to prove models that Eastern European guys, good guys. Since I proven myself, but I don't know how it will work with companies which I will invest. So in the second fund we had verticals which we was specialized, and we built our connections with industry. Yes, so it is storage business, or like I mean that software-defined networks business, or it was cloud business where we had company Parallels or someone. So in this fund we also pick up new industries, and we had IoT in second fund. We will not have IoT in the third fund. We now think it is, and we need to move to the new wave. It is how we operate. So we pick up industries, and we pick up relationship, and we pick up our all efforts to find the way to understand when it is right to sell. If you already sold and everybody bought software-defined network company, it is no reason to invest in one more software-defined company, since already everything is taken by vendors. So.
Yep, Igor.
So as for us, in rare occasions when we invest in hardware, we usually keep in mind from beginning where we're gonna lead this company. It is not always works as we planned from the beginning, but usually when we make decision to invest, we think where it go. We usually try to avoid solutions which like produce one piece of hardware for consumer, because it's difficult. When we go to hardware, we usually aim to strategic B2B sales, and also help founders to understand what kind of partnerships they need and help to make it happen.
You guys, anything you want to add here? Great. Okay, well, let's thank the panelists. And thanks to you guys for excellent questions.
Can
Yep.
I have one final comment in the risk of repeating myself? Please solve real problems.
Yep.
Because my favorite quote is from Buzz Aldrin, who was one of the first guys in the moon. And he said that you promised me Mars colonies, instead you gave me Facebook. So think about that.
Yep.
So,
Great.
thank you.